Hey everybody, Matter here, and welcome to part 4 of my great Ace Attorney Chronicles Let's Play. In the last episode, I wrapped up the first trial, and it didn't have quite as satisfying an ending as I would have hoped, because as I assumed was going to happen, but was hoping wouldn't happen, Giselle Brett was the murderer, but she got extradited to, I believe, China, and we don't know what's going to happen to her. I'm assuming she's working with the government to basically escape her punishment, and there was a hint that there's like some corruption going down, and we're hoping that we're going to get to the bottom of it and hopefully bring it down. So let's go ahead, let's start the second trial, or the second case I should say, and see what is waiting for us with this one. Alright, episode 2, the adventure of the Unbreakable Speckled Band.
In a corner of that small, dark room, Sholmes and I...
Oh, here we go. We got
with bated breath.
Herlock Sholmes.
In time, there came from the ventilator a hiss and a soft, almost growl-like sound. Suddenly, Sholmes sprang into action, lashing furiously with his cane at a point in the darkness. "You see it, Wilson?" he yelled, his tense voice reverberating through the air. I raised my dark lantern shutter, and the room slowly came into view.
If you were to watch this, you would not think at all this is a Ace Attorney's game.
When he started whispering to me the victim's most perplexing final words. The Speckled Band. I believe this is the terrible coil to which she referred, Wilson. In front of us was an enormous adder, its fangs bared as it threatened to strike. It truly was the most terrible speckled band I had ever seen.
So this takes place in... This is on a ship, so are we going to be taking control of Herlock Sholmes for this one? Maybe.
So then, let us unravel this mystery and discover what events...
Oh, okay, well there's
murder.
that girl whose name I can never remember.
The cabin door was bolted from the inside when the man was killed.
Oh no, we've got a locked room mystery. No! Locked room mystery! Those of you guys who are watching my Umaneko know I'm dealing with those a lot.
Almost certainly with the ink from this upset bottle. A Russian word. So the victim was a Russian man then. And the letters are well formed, suggesting he was compos mentis at the time. This is a most extraordinary script. And evidently not penned by the same hand as this message. In fact, I deduce it was written by someone of a different nationality.
Damn, he is, wow.
This paper seal was placed just prior to the incident by the victim himself, I would venture. Well,
got a lot of gadgets there.
What have we here?
He's like the Emma Sky of this.
Who are you, and what do you think you're doing here?
No one must touch before maritime police come. We must wait.
Shh. That won't be necessary. You see, in less than 5 seconds from now, I will reveal the killer to you.
What? Don't be absurd. This is murder. I need cabin locked from inside.
Ah yes, the locked room. But that mystery is paper thin.
You don't mean the culprit is in there?
Who are you, and where have you come from?
I'm a great British consultant detective, the only one in the world. Herlock Sholmes. I presume you must have heard of me.
Now here's what I'm worried about. Oh, my head is throbbing. Here's what I'm worried about. Is the person who is murdered, is this Kazuma on his way to England? I keep thinking he's gonna die. I can't help it. What's going on? And why is she there as well? Like, something's not right here. There's trouble in the air. Is it Ryunosuke? What's... Okay, so we're in the locked room. Okay, it is Ryunosuke. So, wait, I can't move. Oh, they think he's... Do they think he's the murderer again? Is every trial just going to be Ryunosuke being the one on trial for murder or being suspected of murder? What the... Why am I in handcuffs? So, you wake up now, Really wish I could do a British accent or a Russian accent. That would make this much more entertaining. We had to drag you out of the wardrobe. I do not believe how you could not wake up. You are a true cold-blooded man. You. You found me then. Duh. We found you. And now you pay. Criminal! How long are you hiding in that tiny wardrobe, Ugh, sorry. And there he is apologizing again. Now you have been found. It is time to admit your crimes. Unless you want to find out how cold the ocean is, No, I'll tell you everything. There's only one thing I'd like to know from you. Isn't that... Susato, why did you do it? Why did you take his life? Miss Susato. Oh god, is it Kazuma? It's Kazuma. Wait, what did you just say? Take his life? Oh god. Oh god. Where is he? Where's Kazuma? God damn it! I knew it. I knew it. There had to be only one person if she was on the ship. It's because she must be accompanying him. God damn it. Oh god. Poor Ryunosuke. He just gets like, you know, cleared from being murder, you know, convicted for murder, and then he is now assumed to kill his best friend. Ha, you pretend you do not know? You are a wolf in sheep's pelt. You are the killer. Do not try to make excuses. What? Kazuma-sama's body was discovered not long ago. Oh, I had a feeling he was going to die, but I didn't think it was going to be at the second trial. Or the second case, here in this very cabin that was bolted shut from the inside. His body? Please. Do not try to tell us you were doing this terrible thing in your sleep. Kazuma's dead? But he can't be. And these handcuffs. Surely you don't think I have to know. Why did you take Kazuma-sama's life? Answer me, please. No. No! Ah, poor Ryu. I thought that was going to be more like maybe the third trial, maybe the last trial, not the second. Kazuma. It was just 2 short weeks ago. Death flags were going up all over the place, though. I knew he was going to die. Are you sure about this? Won't we get in trouble? Ha ha ha. Don't you find it fun being a stowaway? Besides, how else could you come to England with me to study? It was really something else when they brought your luggage in here earlier, though. The way that Russian crewman just tossed your traveling case onto the floor. I thought I was going to die. Yes, I still can't quite believe that. I really didn't think you'd be able to fit inside my trunk. You must be even less of a man than you look. Wow. Hey, honestly, I thought I'd broken every bone in my body. Well, it's about 50 days until we dock in Great Britain. But if you confine yourself to my cabin here, I don't expect anyone will discover you. Oh god, that's terrible. Oh, 50 days. Ugh, I hope not. I get the feeling those Russians wouldn't be very forgiving of a stowaway. Yeah, I guess you forget, like, back in the old days, how much of a tedious thing it was to travel anywhere decently far away. They're a sturdy bunch, that's for sure. What I want to know is, why do we need to keep it a secret from the young lady? From our faithful judicial assistant, Mikotoba, you mean? From your close friend, more to the point. Surely we could confide in her, couldn't we? I don't believe she'd give me away. No, but if she knew what we'd done, That would make her guilty by association. It's best that only you and I know about this. I suppose so. So he showed up. He wasn't even supposed to be in here. That just makes him look even more sus. Like he hid away to murder Kazuma. Anyway, it's about time the steward is supposed to come and clean the cabin. I know it's cramped, but you'd better get in there, I think. It won't be for long. And anyway, compared to hiding inside my traveling case, it'll be a breeze. Yes, but what if the steward decides to open the wardrobe for some reason? Then I'll be in for it. Stop worrying. I'll tell you what. Why don't you write "keep out" or something on this piece of paper? What? Then I can stick it over the wardrobe doors once you're inside. I don't know. We've only been at sea for about 15 days. How can this have happened? We were supposed to be going on this adventure to England together. We leave you at next port. Stay quiet until then. Do not make more trouble for yourself. Murderer. No, I'm not a murderer. Duh, you said before. You said you admit everything about your crimes. No, that's not right. I mean, yes, I did stow away on the ship, but murdering my best friend? No one else could have done it. Admit the truth. Susato-san. Please, tell me what happened. I need to know. Very well. But there is something I would like to ask of you, too. Ugh, those eyes. She looks like she's ready to destroy me. This nightmare is getting worse by the minute. I suppose all I can do is try to find out what really happened. Okay. It'll be nice to get to the actual investigation part, whereas the last case was just the trial. The trial is still my favorite part of the attorney games, but I do like investigating too. He really's been killed, hasn't he? This isn't just a bad dream? And these handcuffs, they think I did it? They think I'm Kazuma's killer? When they found him, the cabin was locked from the inside. No matter what game I play, it seems like I can't escape locked room mysteries. What do you mean? But compared to Umineko, this one will be probably a breeze to figure out. There's no access to the cabin via a porthole window, and the bolt on the door can't be operated from outside. In other words, after the crime, the culprit couldn't have escaped these four walls. What? Or, to put it another way, the culprits can only have been somebody inside this cabin. Or, do you have some other explanation? This is impossible. How did he die then? What happened exactly? Are you still going to deny the charge, even despite the circumstances? Please, Susato-san, you have to tell me. The cause of death is still undetermined. They don't know how he died. The ship's doctor is examining the body, but of course, he has no post-mortem analysis experience. I don't suppose we shall learn more until an expert has been consulted at our next port of call. So presumably that means there was no obvious external signs of injury then. That's true, yes. It's poison again. Can't anyone tell me what actually happened here in this cabin? I don't understand. Why would anyone want to kill Kazuma? Presumably, that's something you know the answer to better than anyone. Please. Whatever you say, you were here in the cabin after all. Well, yes, I was, but... He would always wake before dawn and do his training first thing in the morning. I was waiting outside his cabin, as I have every day so far on this voyage. But this morning, he did not come. I could sense that he wouldn't. Does that mean he was already dead when Susato-san arrived at his cabin door, I wonder? I knocked, but there was no reply. Then I started to become worried, so I went to find a member of the crew. The crewman forced the cabin door open, and when we managed to get inside, there was Kazuma-sama collapsed on the floor. Okay, so Kazuma said to write on the cabinet doors to keep out, and there was the Russian thing, and oh my god, I keep wanting to say Sherlock Holmes. Sholmes said that they were written by two different people. So the thing is, who wrote the sign that was put on the cabinet? Was that Ryunosuke or was that Kazuma? And the white tape there now shows exactly where he was found, I suppose. I had no idea anything had happened. I must have been asleep in the wardrobe somehow. Oh boy, that is a flimsy excuse. I wish it wasn't the case, but that's just very hard to believe. This is all very hard to believe for me too, trust me. Now, I've told you everything that I know, so it's my turn to ask you a question. Yes, alright. Ugh, my head feels so heavy. It's still throbbing like anything. Why are you even on board this ship, Naruhodo-san? You said something before about being a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, yes. I'm afraid that's true. It's 2 weeks since we left Japan now, and I've been shut up in this cabin the entire time. I had no idea. But how could you have occupied Kazuma-sama's cabin for so long without him noticing? No, no, no! That would have been impossible, obviously. Yes, of course. Kazuma invited me. He wanted us to go to England together. He actually asked you? But why? I'm afraid I don't really know the reason myself. Maybe he saw the potential in Ryunosuke as a lawyer and wanted him to, I guess, maybe get some knowledge from England as well, or they're just best buddies and he just wanted him to have, you know, someone to hang out with. I don't understand. Kazuma, why do you want this? What's the real reason? Why go to such extreme lengths to smuggle me to England with you? It's gotta be more than just Kazuma being like, I'd be lonely. It's an idea that's been on my mind ever since the end of that incredible trial. I think I told you then, didn't I? That you ought to become a lawyer yourself. Well, yes, you did say that, but I didn't think you were serious. You have a talent for it. I can assure you of that. But I've never really thought about becoming a lawyer. Well, that's something you can decide for yourself. You know now, he's like, I gotta be a lawyer in honor of Kazuma. London is at the spearhead of cultural development, the center of the world in many ways. There can't be any harm in seeing such an important place with your own eyes, can there? Well, no, definitely not. But on a personal level, if you were to become a lawyer, then what? Nothing. Forget it. Kazuma-sama he was always saying the same thing. That he wanted to change the Japanese legal system. Perhaps he thought that he could do that with you. Yes, maybe. Something's still bothering me a little. The look in his eyes then. It was darker than I've ever seen it before. Susato-san. I'm sorry that we kept it a secret from you. My stowing away on the ship, I mean. She's like, that's kind of the least of our worries right now. If I know Kazuma-sama, I expect he was trying to protect me, to avoid me becoming guilty by association. That's exactly right, yes. Word perfect, in fact. If you're not the culprit, then tell me, what happened last night here in this cabin? Well, the thing is, I don't really remember. Kazuma brought me something to eat, just like he always did. Oh, did he get drugged with something that knocked him out? And then I got myself to that wardrobe over there, just like I always did. Maybe it was even Kazuma who drugged him for some reason. After that, I fell asleep. Because if nobody knew that Ryunosuke was on the ship, then who would have a reason to, like, knock him out? Well, yes. Unless it was a very quiet death. Because, based on the fact that there's broken stuff everywhere, it looks like there was a scuffle, and I have a hard time believing that Ryu would sleep through that. So deeply that you didn't even stir when Kazuma-sama was killed? Well, yes. I know, it sounds unbelievable. Really, I do. But it's the truth. If only I'd woken up, then perhaps I wouldn't be in this predicament. And for some reason, my head's still throbbing, like anything. Maybe that's the after effects of whatever he was drugged with. Really? Is something wrong? Oh, no, it's... Please, forget it. Susato-san, you have to believe me. I didn't do it. I really don't want to doubt you. But the trouble is, there's no one else who could possibly have done this. Ugh. Kazuma, I don't understand. Why? Why did this have to happen? I can't take this. Don't try to go anywhere. You're the perpetrator of this crime. You can't leave. I can't allow that to happen. I'm sorry. But Kazuma was killed right under my nose here, and I didn't do anything to stop it. And now I'm supposed to just sit around? My hands tied while whoever did this walks free? No, I can't allow that to happen. Well, what do you propose to do then? I'm going to investigate. I'm going to find out exactly what happened here. I'm going to work out who took Kazuma's life, and how and why they did it. So I'm sorry, but you're going to have to excuse me. Hiya! Oh, I had a feeling she's going to have some training. Some, fighting training, kind of like Athena doing the judo flips. What the? That was a Susato takedown. A Susato what? What martial art form is that? Oh, it's making me a little dizzy. I'm going to need you to prove it. Sorry? Prove it. Yes, your innocence. I need evidence. But how am I supposed to... Have you forgotten already? What you achieved just a few weeks ago? Well, he said he was going to investigate, and then you flipped him. How is he supposed to prove his innocence if you won't let him investigate? You successfully defended yourself in a court of law. Ah, I see. She's expecting me to present some conclusive evidence. I have to get Susato-san to believe me. I'll show her some evidence right now that proves I'm not guilty of this awful crime. Okay. Well, there's only two things here. Is he gonna do some lame thing about, I am a student of the Yume University and I wouldn't do that? I'm guessing it's probably something more like this. So let's examine this. So it says keep out on it. Alright, let's... Oh boy, how do I do this again? This is the paper... Okay, so he did write that. This is the paper seal I wrote for the wardrobe. I really remember working hard to make it. But I'll never forget how Kazuma reacted. Do you expect the Russian crew to be able to read that? He said. Still, I was sure people would get the idea, even if they couldn't read it. So we used it anyway. And it worked. I don't know if the crew thought it was creepy or what, but no one opened the doors. You can see the remnants of the glue we used to stick this over the wardrobe doors. It's so sad not seeing Kazuma on the other side, kind of bickering or going back and forth with him. Although it wasn't proper glue, of course. We didn't have any of that with us. So I pulverized some rice into paste to use instead. But to a stowaway like me, every single grain of rice represents precious rations. That's why I spread it as thinly as I possibly could. I couldn't bear to waste any. Okay, it doesn't seem like there's any more to that, so I'm just gonna present that and hope that that's what she means.
Yes!
Tell me, when I was discovered in the wardrobe before... Oh, derp, yeah, so there's no way that he could have stuck... Of course, yeah. That couldn't have stayed on the cabinet if he... if Kazuma was dead and he went to the cabinet, who would have put the thing over the doors? Oh, yes, it was. I remember clearly. I thought so. Kazuma always put it in place whenever I went to sleep in there. Just in case the cabin steward or another crew member decide to look inside. So naturally, he did the same last night as well. Oh, yes, of course. The gentleman who discovered you peeled that sign from the wardrobe doors before he opened them. But if I were truly the culprit, I couldn't have climbed back inside the wardrobe and stuck this on the outside of the doors on my own. Yes, that's quite true. And then, of course, there's Kazuma writing something Russian. I don't know if Kazuma would know Russian, or if it's somebody like one of the Russian crew who doesn't know how to write in Japanese. He wrote something on the floor in Russian because like he wanted to frame somebody, but he didn't know how to write Japanese, so he just put something in Russian using Kazuma's finger to make it seem like he left the note. In other words, it's impossible that I killed Kazuma. Well, even if you are sprawled hopelessly on the floor, I can see why Kazuma-sama thought so highly of you. Thank you, Susato-san. Now, do you think perhaps you could help me up? Alright, so hopefully we've got her on our side now, and then we just gotta get Sholmes on our side too, and we'll just be like a investigation buddies. Well, in the light of that evidence, I don't see any reason why I should stop you from investigating in here at least. Thank you. So you finally believe me? I'm sorry. No. What? I'm not sure yet. I can't rule out the possibility that you used some sort of conjuring trick to put the sign back in position. What does she think I am, a magician? For now, I suggest you investigate as thoroughly as possible in here. I'll do the same. Alright, let's get to work, Susato-san. Please, don't misunderstand me. I still have my doubts. Oh. I shall be watching you, to make sure you do nothing that might disturb the crime scene. I wouldn't want you using your conjuring tricks to destroy evidence, for example. Right. Well, anyway, I should make a start on investigating in here. Examine everything I can. Alright, here we go. Kazuma, I swear, I will avenge your death. Looks like there's a lot to check out in here. Alright, let's examine. So, the thing that, yeah, caught my eye was the writing here. Oh, this is so weird to do on a PC and not on a DS. Alright. Did Kazuma write that before he died? It looks like it's written in ink. He must have knocked the ink pot from the desk when he collapsed on the floor. Then I suppose he wrote this message by dipping his finger in the spillage. Poor Kazuma-sama. No doubt he was in terrible pain. It's almost unbearable to imagine it. I suppose he was trying to leave some kind of a clue in his final moments, was he? I'm sorry, partner, but I can't read your writing. I don't think that's Japanese, Naruhodo-san. What? Then what language is it? It pains me to admit it, but I don't know. It's not a foreign script I'm familiar with. What does it mean, I wonder? Oh dear, that won't do. Oh, what's the matter, Susato-san? Whenever I'm examining things, I always find myself so focused I forget to look around properly. Oh yes, that's no good. I don't suppose you're as foolish as me in that regard, are you, Naruhodo-san? I'm sure you're careful to look all around, aren't you? Now, let's investigate all corners of this cabin. Yes, let's do that. I suppose my field of vision has been rather small until now. Oh, I like that that's got the check marks there. Okay, I appreciate that. That's a nice little touch. It's a very large traveling case, isn't it? Yes, it carries a lot of memories for me. Memories? What do you mean? Well, that's actually how I stowed away on this vessel. I was brought on board inside that case. Oh, yes, I see it says "this way up" in Japanese. Which in hindsight, I should have realized the foreign crewmen wouldn't be able to read. I was turned over and over and over, and then I was tossed on the floor in here. Oh dear, being a stowaway isn't as romantic as it sounds. Well, it was less painful than a Susato takedown. This is where dear Kazuma-sama would have sat whenever he was writing. London Diary. Poor Kazuma. He didn't even make it to his distant... I wonder if she had a thing for him when she's like, Dear Kazuma. It looks as though the last entry is incomplete. Which means... what? He was in the middle of writing it when the incident happened? Let's see what it says. It could be a valuable clue. Hiya! That's out of the question. What? Kazuma-sama may have departed this world, but you must not read his private thoughts. But what if it's something important? Something relevant to the case? Alright. I won't read it. Poor Kazuma-sama. I don't like prying into people's personal matters either. But in this case, isn't the need for clues more important? Maybe she's like, I'm totally gonna read that later, though. The books have fallen over on the shelf. Look, they've all toppled the same way. And what's this? A statue of some god of the sea? Although he's fallen over as well. Yes, it's almost like the whole shelf has been ransacked, and everything mown down at once. I wonder if... perhaps it was Kazuma-sama doing his morning sword trading, do you think? I seriously doubt it. Then perhaps... it was you, Naruhodo-san, in a fit of rage. I wouldn't have bothered leaving the wardrobe just to mess up a few books and a statue. Could the way these things have been thrown about have anything to do with the case, I wonder? Maybe somebody was looking for a specific, like, writing or notes or something? Well, I'll just set everything straight again. I don't like to see a mess. And I'm going to get flipped because I'm going to be messing with the... oh, nope. I thought she's going to flip me because I'm messing around with the crime scene. What do you think this is? It looks like a broken piece of glassware. Whatever the thing was, it appears to have been broken clean in two. The glass is such a beautiful color. It looks like a cute little Netsuke fastener for a kimono outfit. I'm not sure that sounds like Kazuma. He wouldn't have secretly carried a cute little trinket like this around with him, would he? And the mark beside it. What is it, I wonder? It has a sort of brick-like hue. Yes, you're right. It's the color of brick, isn't it? Even though I don't see anything of the same color anywhere else in the cabin. That's Kazuma-sama's precious sword. He never went anywhere without it. Yes, he was always saying that a Japanese man's katana is his sword. I'm gonna go back and forth with the pronunciation of it. Is his soul. I believe he had to work very hard to convince the government to allow him to bring it on this trip. I suppose that shows just how important it was to him. And now he's gone. But I'm not ready to let his spirit go just yet. I wonder if Ryu's gonna carry his sword in honor of him. Segi, the Japanese word for justice. I totally probably butchered. The brushstrokes are straight and true, just like Kazuma. Yes, his calligraphy always was a reflection of his heart. Yet you, can you really look at those characters without feeling shame, knowing who drew them so thoughtfully? Of course I can. I mean, I'm innocent, so why shouldn't I be able to? Even though you stowed away on the ship? Now you're going to bring that up, are you? I can't win. There's nothing on this table at all. The plate and cutlery are all over the floor for some reason. It's strange. Last night when I went to sleep, I'm sure everything was still. Here is all the more reason where I'm like, I'm pretty sure Ryu must have been drugged because there definitely looks like there was a scuffle. And he wouldn't hear any of that? No, wait a minute. What is it? That's funny. I can't seem to remember anything about what happened after dinner at all. He totally got drugged. So then perhaps you are responsible for what happened to Kazuma-sama. No. That's my dinner from last night, a roast chicken. It was really tasty. Yes, it was very delicious, wasn't it? But did you eat it on the floor here? I'm not a dog, Susato-san. I ate at the table, of course. Which begs the question of when and how did the plate end up on the floor? But Kazuma-sama didn't like chicken at all, did he? No, that's right, so he didn't touch it. Which meant all the more for me. Oh! Oh, maybe somebody meant to drug. Somebody meant to drug Kazuma, so they put something in the chicken, but he gave it all to Ryu, so Ryu went into the cabinet and just passed out. And then somebody came in here, I'm guessing, to like maybe steal something of Kazuma's, assuming that he was like going to be knocked out. But they were surprised when Kazuma was still awake, and then maybe a scuffle ensued. Kazuma got killed. I'm assuming by one of these Russian guys, and then hence why he wrote something out in Russian. Assuming Kazuma might, I mean, maybe he knows how to write Russian, but I don't know about that. English I can understand because there's like the treaty, and Japanese people probably want to like learn to speak English because it will be good for them. Russian, I don't know. Oh no, does that mean poor Kazuma-sama spent his last night on this earth with an empty belly? It's just too horrible. Oh, now I suddenly have a guilty conscience and an achy stomach. I bet that's what happened. These are the rules of passage for travel aboard the Ss Borea. It's essentially a list of requests from the captain to all passengers on board. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. And yet he was allowed to have his katana. What? Why are you staring at me? Because he is like a pet. Oh, sorry, I was just thinking. Are you more of a dangerous object or a pet? I can't decide. Well, it's nice to know that Susato has a sense of humor even during this. Well, one thing's for sure. Either way, I wasn't supposed to be in here. Alright, let's see if we can talk to this Russian guy. Perhaps I should see what this Russian crewman makes of the scene of the crime. Excuse me? What? I was wondering how it's going. The investigation, I mean. Grandmother told me Japanese people do not make jokes. But it's not true, I see. Sorry? The criminal asking investigator for information about his crime? Very funny. Oh, it wasn't supposed to be a joke. He doesn't appear to be laughing either. He's convinced you're guilty. He might have useful information, though. I have to keep trying. So, last night, did you notice anything out of the ordinary at all? Niet, of course not. Now back to quarter of room and make silent. I say no more to you. Did I hit a nerve? Just for a minute there. He seemed a little flustered. I feel like that would be a little bit too easy if it turns out that it's this guy, like, right from the beginning. But maybe he knows something to it. Okay, so how do we move? Okay, so I think it's B and M? Oh, there we go. Okay, so we can do a little bit more. It's some 2 weeks since we set sail from Japan. Have you really been living in that wardrobe the entire time, Naruhodo-san? I think living isn't quite the right description. Oh, no, I suppose not. Although it must have been rather exciting making this voyage in your own secret hideout. The trouble was, I never knew when a member of the crew might come in. So yes, I did basically have to live in the wardrobe. And last night was no exception. But because of that, you had no idea what was happening out here in the cabin. No, sadly not. It sounds like more she's maybe coming around to actually believing me. Is this up here? This might be a way for someone to escape. It looks kind of small, but if it's a small enough person, I think that's some kind of opening for a ventilator. A hole through which fresh air can circulate into the cabin. Isn't that a little odd? What do you mean? Well, this ventilator, that's what it is. Looks like it must connect to the next door cabin. Ah! Yes, it would appear to. You're right. But if its purpose is to allow fresh air into the room, surely it should be connected to the outside. That's true. Perhaps it's so rain and spray don't find their way in when the seas are rough. Or something like that. I suppose. Maybe that's it. Oh, hi! Hello! Who's that? He wasn't there a minute ago. Talk about the real conjurer. As far as I can tell, it looks like he might be European. Oh, how did he... You've noticed the man too, have you? I've no idea who he is or how he got in here, but he looks suspicious and tall. Suspiciously tall. So if he can get into the room, that means anybody could get into the room even if it was locked. I mean, it's not locked now, but... Naruhodo-san, don't tell me. Do you really not know who that is? Well, no. I don't have any foreign friends or acquaintances at all. He doesn't look like a member of the crew. There's something very unusual about him. And he's investigating Kazuma's desk. Or is he just playing on it? I can't tell. Well, in that case... Oh my gosh, she's really got the Maya, like... She's going into excited mode, just like... Well, in that case, we simply must talk with him. Am I just imagining it? Or does Susato-san look almost uncontrollably excited? She's fangirling. By the way, I expect that you've noticed already, but just in case. If you press space on people when they're in the crosshairs, you can converse with them. Alright then, I'll get that suspiciously tall gentleman in my sights and see what he has to say for himself. Oh, please do. Alright. Excuse me? Excuse me, do you have a moment? Shh, this is a critical point in my investigation. Maybe I should leave him alone. He seems a little unfriendly. Yes, perhaps that would be for the best. Greetings, I hope I haven't kept you long. What exactly were you doing on Kazuma's desk just now? Ah, I see. Fascinating. Sorry? What do you see? It feels like he's looking right through me. Oh yes, everything is clear now. The train of reasoning has run its course. My deductions have crystallized. You haven't been in Afghanistan, I perceive. Just recently returned, if I'm not mistaken. Wait, he's saying he has been in Afghanistan. Sorry? What? And now, whilst venturing towards foreign climes, you find yourself in a most troubling predicament. Oh, well, that's true at least. But how? How the deuce did I know that, perhaps? It was really a most elementary deduction, hardly worth explaining. Have you perhaps managed to deduce anything else? But of course, a great many things. There is no mystery, my dear madam. For example, you have fled your native land of Russia, being, as you are a merciless revolutionary. You leave 16 victims of assassination in your wake, and now travel to England to blow up the Crystal Tower. And, when the beribboned occupant of this very cabin discovered your identity, you ended his life too. Yes, I believe that summarizes the facts beautifully. No need to hide the truth now. Nothing deceives these eyes. There's also the callback to the snake, right? There was like, the whole thing about this was there's a snake. Maybe venom from the snake? We're dealing with poison again? Just to be clear, you aren't talking about me, are you? Certainly I am. He's like, all of that was wrong. Do you see another in this cabin who fits the bill? A Russian assassin with 16 victims to his name? I don't even see one person who fits the bill. Maybe he deduced things from Kazuma's writing, from that Russian writing, and he assumes it's me? So it's true. It was you who did this to Kazuma-sama. What? And you're plotting a revolution, too. It's shameful behavior, Naruhodo-san. Absolutely wicked. Are you just going to believe everything he says? I think she's got a little thing for him, and she's just like, oh, and I get flipped. Now explain yourself. Tell me everything. This is ridiculous. How could you do it? For pity's sake, open your eyes. I'm not a Russian revolutionary, obviously. Oh, forgive me. And as for you, what kind of deduction was that? You were just saying the first thing that came into your head. Ah, but was I not right? Whilst venturing towards foreign climes, you do find yourself in a most troubling predicament, do you not? Well, yes, maybe. Ha! There you have it, you see. What do you make of that, Well, to be honest, this ship is en route to England, and I'm in handcuffs at the scene of a murder. So, I'm not really sure you could call it deduction. It's more plain observation. Okay, so we're going to be talking about, like, Ryunosuke with his observations, Sholmes with his deductions that are, like, seem to be quite wrong. Indeed, an observation, my dear boy, is the basis of all deduction. My method is founded upon the observation of trifles, you see. I announce my findings with a brassy certitude. And more often than not, I'm right. I don't think you've introduced yourself. Ah, my apologies. How remiss of me. I am none other than the greatest detective of the century, known to men and women the world over. The imitatable Herlock Sholmes. I'm so gonna trip on that and call him Sherlock Holmes a bunch. So, it's really you, the actual Herlock Sholmes. The very same. The imitable, actual Herlock Sholmes. Do you know this man, Susato-san? The most famous detective in the world? Naruhodo-san, of course I do. There's nobody who hasn't heard of him. What planet have I been living on, then? We must ask him what he's deduced. He will have worked out the entire case already, I'm sure. Really? Why do I feel uneasy about this? So, you're a great detective, are you? Sorry, what was your name again? Indeed, I am none other than the one and only Herlock Sholmes. Oh, I see. You're German? Herlock, was it? No, I have no her. I mean, I have hair. Please, call me Sholmes. He's like, even I understand that this is a dumb name, but we needed to do it for copyright reasons. You can read all about my exploits in this exciting London publication. Oh yes, Ranst magazine, full of wonderful short stories and interest articles from Great Britain. I never miss an issue. I've seen it. I have sent from England especially. She's like Maya with the samurai. Ah yes, here it is. The Adventures of Herlock Sholmes. So, you're the protagonist in a series of short stories, then? Indeed I am. And you've read so many of your own stories, you start to think you really are a detective. Make no mistake, I'm not the poor deluded fellow you take me for. Your inference is backwards. Backward? My trusty biographer records my greatest deducing achievements and chronicles them in the magazine. You have a biographer, do you? Or biographer, doesn't everyone? Mine goes by the name of Dr. Wilson, presently keeping shop in London. Dr. Wilson, oh. I was wondering if that was the same Wilson, if he doesn't realize that Wilson is dead. I must say, thanks to that publication, I've been fantastically busy as of late. Why, this very moment I am returning from Asia, having solved the mystery of a cursed royal crown. Really? I can't work out whether I should take this man seriously or not. Deduction, you see, is to me a science. Logical reasoning in its purest form. A science? Really? The astute observer notices even the most subtle of reactions in his subject. A furtive glance, a twitch of a muscle, a slight inclination of the posture. Sounds like Apollo with his being able to tell people's little facial twitches. Fingernails, arm sleeves, furrows in the skin. All these things are data. Right. And the trained logician makes deductions from this data. I switch back and forth between data and data in the blink of an eye. The ultimate conclusion is, without fail, the truth. As I demonstrated only a few short moments ago, how can he look me in the eye and claim that? So you see, I have a turn both for observation and for deduction. And fame. He seems a little far up his own ass, if you ask me. That is what makes me the one and only Herlock Sholmes. Have you managed to deduce anything about this particular case yet? Have I managed to deduce anything? My dear fellow. Who do you suppose discovered the culprit in his most cunning hiding place? That's right. It was none other than the great detective before you now, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. So, he's probably going to hang around with us for the investigation, and once he realizes he was wrong about me being the culprit, maybe that's going to knock him down to earth a little bit, you know? Take him down a couple of pegs. And realize that his deductions aren't always correct. Oh, I see. In other words, I'm in these now because of him. When I became anxious about Kazuma-sama this morning, I summoned all the crew members to force the cabin door open. Whoa, how lucky that there just happened to be this famous detective on this ship to be able to solve a murder. And I concealed myself among their number, gaining entry to the scene of the crime. Yes, luckily for everyone, the great detective Herlock Sholmes was on board. And the handcuffs seem to be an excellent fit, Mr. Naruhodo. Arg. The very moment I laid eyes on the scene, two facts were immediately apparent to me. Oh, really? Two facts, you say? Mr. Sholmes, tell us, please. What two facts were apparent to you when you came to this cabin this morning? Ah, yes, but first, let us be precise. The two facts in question were immediately apparent to me. Yes, I understand, but what were they? Allow me to elucidate. The two facts that I deduced from a mere momentary glance at the scene of the crime were as follows. Number one, the cabin was locked from within, rendering escape of the culprit out of the question. Number two, the victim was Russian and killed following a dispute with an acquaintance. Oh, wow. Wow, dude. You think that... Okay, so you look at Kazuma and you assume that he is Russian because he wrote Russian on... with the ink. Oh my gosh. And probably didn't notice the vent going into the other room. Hold on, Mr. Sholmes. What made you think the victim was Russian? There we go, right there, showing his deductions can be wrong because he's like, well, because the writing was Russian. Observe the dying message left by the victim on the floor. I wonder if I'm going to get into like a logic battle with Sholmes. That's the Russian word for wardrobe. Do you really think Kazuma-sama could have left a dying message in Russian? In their final moments, many find their native tongue filling their head. But this young man, Russian, this is when Susato's going to be like, wait, maybe this guy's not as good as I thought he was. Kazuma was Russian, was he? Initially, I considered Garderobe, maybe the name of the killer, a certain Robert Gard, perhaps. But in the interest of thoroughness, I decided it would be wrong not to look inside the wardrobe thoroughly. So that means one of the crew knew that I was in there. Where you found Mr. Naruhodo sleeping soundly. Quite so. I found you, the renowned Russian revolutionary killer. Why is it that I'm Russian too? I observed that you were wearing the same attire as the victim. In other words, you were acquainted. And if my memory serves, that outfit is the traditional dress of the Russian people. Like, all of his deductions are wrong. Are school uniforms are the traditional dress of the Russian people? I had no idea. Susato is not, like, she's not questioning the fact that, like, wait, he said Kazuma is Russian, but we know that's not true. And I had no idea detective could get something so wrong. She's in fangirl mode. She can't admit that he's wrong. I took a photograph of the victim in the message that I might analyze it for possible hidden details. This was taken immediately after the young man was discovered, before the body was removed. Aw, poor Ryu's gotta see his friend like that. Yes, Kazuma had already been taken away when I woke up. This is the first time I've actually seen him like this. Are you alright, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, yes, thank you. Can I ask you something, Mr. Sholmes? What, pray? You mentioned Russia before as well, didn't you? You know, when you said I was a fearsome revolutionary fleeing from Russia and all of that. Ah, yes, the train of reasoning that led me to the truth. Would you mind explaining that train of reasoning to me, do you think? Certainly, if it interests you. How many times? I'm not Russian and I don't speak Russian. Can we talk about your deduction before? The things you concluded about me, I mean. Ah, the now famously accurate, troubling predicament you find yourself in. Actually, it was the other details that I was more hoping to discuss. You know, the merciless Russian revolutionary and assassin of 16 part? Oh, yes, the more sordid details. It was a fairly commonplace deduction. Here we have this morning's paper. The main headline reads, Revolutionary villain. Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. Oh, Shanghai, isn't that where Giselle's going? Well, I know she's going somewhere in China. I don't know if they said specifically Shanghai. This vessel made a port called Shanghai yesterday, and last night the young Russian was murdered. Since when was Kazuma a Russian? It sounds like Mr. Sholmes has concluded he was Russian because of what Kazuma-sama wrote on the floor. It was a simple act of reasoning to realize the culprit of this crime was the same merciless revolutionary. One who would kill the very man who helped him to escape after his true identity was discovered. Yes, you. Violent Bolshevik. Villain Bolshevik? No. How could it be me? I don't look anything like this man. Just look at his face. I mean, you can do some good things with, like, makeup and disguises, but I don't know if you could do that good to disguise your whole, like, ethnicity. Well, you are a fearsome revolutionary after all. Therefore, you have no doubt learned to revolutionize your appearance as well. And it's just he's so confident about his deductions too. Ugh, please. And I might add, your name does not appear on the ship's passenger list. Need I say more? Well, that's because I'm a stowaway. What about the other details? The 16 victims of assassination and blowing up the Crystal Tower. Ah, yes, the journalist clearly interviewed the man and printed all those particulars in the article. The deeds the man has perpetrated thus far, and those he is plotting. Yes, everything about this revolutionary Bolshevik was included. There can be no mistake. Do revolutionaries usually agree to interviews with newspaper reporters, I wonder? And what about the part where he said I was just returning from Afghanistan? Also, quite clearly stated here in the article, Bolshevik has recently returned after a period of subversive activities in a war-torn region of Afghanistan. Where even is it anyway? This Afghanistan place. Here, take the paper for yourself, as a little memento of this great deduction. Oh, thank you. I've absorbed all that is of interest to me within its pages, but I see no rubbish bin nearby. So I'm the rubbish bin, thank you. And you may find the article on the back page of interest as well. On the back? Cast your eye over it sometime if the interest takes you, though you may need someone to interpret. It's all written in Russian. I couldn't hope to read it. Wait, why is he saying that I would need someone to interpret it if he thinks I'm Russian? But I suppose it wouldn't hurt just to glance at the article. Maybe there might be a picture or two. Alright, I will do that after. Let's finish up the, you know what, let's check it out now while it's still fresh in my mind. I can't find anything out of place. Okay, and then there's the, swap. Oh, it's like some sort of princess. Or a ballerina? Okay. This is interesting. Have you found something relevant, Naruhodo-san? Well, no, I mean, it looks like it might be interesting. I can't read a single word, I'm afraid. No, nor can I. But look at this picture. Perhaps it's about a beautiful young Russian princess, do you think? She's very pretty, isn't she? I suppose you enjoy articles like this, do you? I don't know. I can't make any sense of it. Ah, I'm glad you've noticed this article. Ah! Allow me to give you a short summary of its contents. Oh, thank you. He pops up everywhere, this Mr. Sholmes. Once again, if he assumed I'm Russian, why would he think I wouldn't be able to read it? It's about the disappearance of a young lady last night. Renowned prima ballerina of the Norbavik Ballet disappears from Shanghai. During a performance in Shanghai, the famous dancer was reported missing. She is, of course, the talented young Nikolina Pavlova. Why are Russian names so hard to remember? It would appear the woman was in costume when she was found to be missing from her dressing room, wearing the diamond tiara you see pictured, which is worth some 20,000 rubles. Oh, how much is 20,000 rubles? I have no idea, but I'm quite sure. It must be an unbelievable sum of money. Susato-san's eyes are shining like diamonds themselves. Tiara is the property of the Novovic Ballet. It would seem the director is beside herself with worry. Yes, I'm not surprised. The company is most anxious to retrieve both Miss Pavlova and the valuable tiara. They requested international assistance at all ports with sailings to Great Britain. Could this be another case of a Russian fleeing his or her country? It does seem to be the Russian thing to do. I'm not even going to dignify that with a response, Mr. Naruhodo. Alright, so that hopefully should be it for now. So, alright. Before we started talking, you were examining Kazuma's desk, weren't you? Kazuma? Yes, the victim. Did you notice anything useful? Anything at all? Observe for a moment the desktop of the victim. We see the victim was engaged in penning some text. London diary. Kazuma was keeping notes of the trip. Ah, but I don't think you should read his private writings. It could upset people. Tragic. And something you ought to perhaps elucidate before the act of reading. You mean you've read it already? What, he can read Japanese? It is my business to know what other people do not. Yes, believe it or not, I know a smattering of Japanese. Will you just answer my question? Oh, I see. Well, you're about to know what a Susato takedown is. Of course she's not going to do it to him. She's fangirling over him. Susato-san? Aren't you going to throw the detective with one of your trademark takedowns? I'm sorry, Naruhodo-san. What on earth do you mean? Life is so unfair. Anyway, to return to the matter at hand, namely, this diary belonging to the victim. It would appear the final sentence is incomplete, as if the author were cut short. Tell me, what is the nature of the writing? Pray be precise as to details. Oh, but I thought you knew Japanese. A smattering, dear boy, a smattering. Sayonara, bonsai, Mikado, nado. I trust you're suitably impressed. Yeah, that's about my level of of Japanese too. Ha. But this diary is littered with complicated-looking characters of which I can read precisely none. Ah ha ha ha. So what was all that showing off about before then? If you would be so kind as to show me, I'd be happy to read it to you, Mr. Sholmes. I'm much obliged. My dear madam. The final entry here in Kazuma-sama's diary consists of just 2 short sentences. The first reads, 1:23 a.m. I could hear a faint whistling sound. A whistling sound. These are very deep waters. Pray, go on. The second sentence reads, 1:35 a.m. What looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. Oh, yes, the speckled band. Yes, we're bringing back to that, the snake. So, okay, here I was thinking it was a person. I was like, well, how would a person be able to escape? So somebody put a deadly snake from the ventilator into the room, hence I guess that was just more Kazuma running away from the snake and trying to get away from it. But then someone must have come back to retrieve it. A speckled band. What on earth does that mean? I have no idea. I've never heard that expression before. I guess it makes sense, like Kazuma, I don't know in Japan if they would have snakes like that, if to him not knowing what a snake looks like, or at least just seeing something drop into his room. The last thing you would think of it as it being a snake. The ventilator grill, you say. The man was presumably referring to the lattice there on the wall. Or lattice. Lattice? I think it's lattice. There was another game I played where that word was used, and I said it wrong. I think it's lattice, which connects to the adjoining cabin. Yeah, so we just need to know who's in there. Yes, the adjoining cabin. So, I believe I've given you enough to consider for the time being at least. Oh, do you have somewhere to go? As it happens, the victim's writings in his diary have piqued my interest. The matter warrants further investigation, I believe. And if I'm still too long, the seasickness takes hold. Oh, I suppose. You're thinking of investigating the cabin next door, which the ventilator connects to. Great detectives are a curious breed. Our minds rebel at stagnation. We crave mental exaltation. So yes, I intend to investigate. Hence, the truth will become clear soon enough. Do you think perhaps that we could go with you? No, that would be somewhat complicated. What? But why? A simple glance at your wrist should reveal the answer. Oh, these. After all, you're the prime suspect in this matter. No? There's no point trying to turn it into a question. You're the one who decided I was the culprit in the first place. Whatever do you mean? I have no recollection of naming you as the culprit at any point. You must be joking. You just said it only a moment ago. Dear me, you are clearly misguided. I would have no cause to say such a thing. Well, actually, Mr. Sholmes, I did hear you say that too. Yeah, she's starting to kind of lose her shine of him a little bit. You're quite sure? Well, that's very strange. I wouldn't have said you had the face of a criminal, you know? Not really. So what, were you looking at my knees before? Some great detective you are. Well, anyway, that was then, and this is now. What do you mean? What I mean, sir, is this. If you are the culprit, then you must play the part more convincingly. Roll over and accept your fate. Ha 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 ha. He is a strange one. Now he's just being plain rude. And off he goes, having just laughed in my face. His sense of humor is as twisted as his name. Literally twisted around. Naruhodo-san, what are you just standing there for? We must go and investigate the cabin next door as well. Aren't you forgetting something? What about these? There's no way I can— Hi-ya! Well, it looks like she believes me now that I'm not the culprit. After Kazuma-sama spent his dying moments struggling to leave us a clue, you're willing to give up? You're just going to roll over and accept your fate? Ugh. As if you gave me any choice in the rolling over part. I think we still have some investigation to finish off in here first, don't we? Let's carry on examining what we can in this cabin while we wait for a chance to slip next door. Good idea. The situation doesn't look good for me, but there are still things I can do to help myself. And I owe it to Kazuma to do everything I can to find a way out of this, and bring the real culprit to justice. Okay, so let's see what we haven't checked already. This is— yes, it's a bell cord contraption, I think. What do you mean, contraption? I read about it in a book I was studying that talked about life in Great Britain. Large households often have bell cords like this, which you can pull to ring a bell to summon servants. Really? That sounds almost magical. Shall we give it a little try? Yes! In the interest of cultural research, obviously. I suppose nobody comes for lowly Japanese people. No, I'm sure it's just that everyone's busy, that's all. when I went for help and the crewman forced the door open. This bolt had been firmly closed. It's quite a small bolt, not particularly sturdy. It just slides across to secure the door shut. But still, with the door bolted, there'd be no way to get in or out of the cabin, that's for sure. It's no wonder everyone suspects me. When she glares at me like that, I feel tense all up and down my spine. I remember reading once in a detective novel. The culprit used a needle and thread to draw a bolt across from outside the room in a situation like this. Yes, that's a clever trick, isn't it? I'm an avid reader of detective stories myself. But the door of this cabin and its frame are made of metal, and they seal together perfectly. There'd be no possibility of using that needle and thread trick here, I'm afraid. She's like, nice try, though. When she glares at me like that, I feel pins and needles all up and down my spine. Oh, look over there. The crewman, do you mean? He wasn't there before, was he? That's what I thought. Why don't we try talking to him? Probably because I'm likely to get yelled at again. But I suppose I could try. Is something wrong, Naruhodo-san? Oh, no. It's just that the crewman's standing by the door. I can't help feeling like I've seen him somewhere before. Oh, yes, you're right. He does look familiar. Excuse me, sir. Yes? What can I do for you? Oh, shit! Oh my gosh, he's gonna be... Oh, like some of the other reoccurring characters in the Ace Attorney games. I just love he just slinking in everywhere. I recognize that face, but it can't be. Maybe we'll get the mystery one of the... Is he going to show up at every single one of these cases? Maybe we'll find out the mystery to why he coughs blood. It is. I didn't know you were here, Inspector Hosonaga. Hello again. What are you doing here? I think that should be my line. I was so stunned when I saw you. My heart stopped. Nearly stopped, I hope. I received some special orders to go undercover as a member of the crew and board this ship. Again? You certainly seem to enjoy undercover work, Inspector. If there's anything I can do to help you, please ask. I never expected to see this man on board. But perhaps his presence can help me out of this hopeless situation. So what are your special orders this time, Inspector? Yes, and why are you dressed as a member of the crew? I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. I take full responsibility. For what? My orders were to act as Asogi-san's bodyguard. It was Minister of Justice Jikogu who pushed for this overseas study tour to go ahead. And he entrusted me with ensuring that Asogi-san reached Great Britain without being assassinated. You had what? Literally, you had one job. Assassinated? How? How could that have even been a possibility? And that's why Kazuma looked probably so... Ryunosuke said that he seemed very dark, talking about the trip, like he knew that was a possibility. I'm not sure, but these are complicated times. There are tensions between the world's greatest powers. Minister Jikogu said we should be prepared for all eventualities. This is incredible. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama was assassinated? Obviously, we couldn't give Asogi-san a visible security escort. Which is why I'm undercover now, posing as one of the crew. I see. And I didn't take my eyes off of him the entire time we've been on board, from morning until night, every day. But I never imagined it would happen here, inside his own cabin, not here on the first-class deck. I failed miserably at my assignment. And Osaki-san is dead as a result. I'm a disgrace. All I can do is humbly apologize. Inspector, well, I highly doubt that he thinks that I had anything to do with it. So if there's anything at all I can do to help now, just say the word. We're doing what we can to investigate Kazuma's death ourselves. I thought you might be. You didn't do it, did you? You're not the killer. Of course not. We'd really like to investigate the cabin next door. Yes, so we need to be allowed out of this cabin. I'm sorry. What? You've been deemed a risk to the ship's safety. If you move to even touch the handle of the cabin door, that stormy-looking seaman there would surely snap your neck in two. I suppose I'm not just a stowaway now. I think I'm a murderer as well. Would it be possible to give me something to work with, do you think? I'm going to need something persuasive. Oh, we've got to present something to him, I'm guessing. What do you mean? If I had a solid reason why the next-door cabin should be investigated, for example, I'd do everything I could to persuade the captain to allow it. Really, I would lay my life on the line if I had to. But I don't see how. This is Hosonaga getting back at Ryunosuke for saying at the end of the last case, the trial, being like, he didn't really do much to help us. Now he's going out of his way to help us. There may be a way. What? Really? Think of how you tried to persuade me of your innocence, Naruhodo-san, by presenting me with a piece of evidence that you already had in your possession. Evidence? It's just the same as when you're in court. You must have done it many times during your trial. Simply select the present panel and choose some evidence that Inspector Hosonaga could use. So, evidence that would give us a viable reason to investigate the next-door cabin. Alright, yes. I think I might know what we can use. Let's see if I can present the detective with some evidence he needs to persuade the captain. What's that? It's Kazuma's diary. Just before he died, Kazuma-sama wrote something rather strange in his diary. Strange? In what way? He wrote, what looks like some kind of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? That is strange. Yes, we're still trying to work out what he meant by that, but what I'd like to know is... Don't tell me. The ventilator, is it? You're very astute, Inspector. That ventilator clearly joins to the next-door cabin. That's right. So if we could investigate in there, we might be able to work out what that speckled band was. Alright then. I can't leave this cabin at the moment. I'm stuck here until we arrive at the next port. The captain has given me strict orders to guard the scene of the crime, you see. I'll have to entrust the investigation to you. Really? You're willing to do that? Yes, as long as you don't leave the first-class cabin area. I'm afraid I can't remove those handcuffs, though. But what about the captain? Aren't you going against his direct orders? I'm a man of my word. And I promise you, I'll lay my life on the line if that's what it takes to convince the captain. The next case will be the death of Hosonaga. It's just like everybody close to Naruhodo is going to die. After all, I failed to keep Asagi-san safe. This is the least I can do. Thank you. Let's seize the moment then, Naruhodo-san. Just select move and we can leave this cabin at last. Oh, right away I see what looks like a mouse trap? Whew, I'm finally out of that cabin. I have to admit, this isn't quite what I was expecting. It's less spacious out here than I thought it would be, and this is the most luxurious accommodation. Yes, indeed. Kazuma-sama was being sent on the study tour by the government. That's why he was being put up in a first-class cabin. Even still, this is about twice as large as my accommodation in steerage. Really? I think Rio's got everybody beat there. That must be awful. Rio is literally in a cabinet for most of the time, and he still is, like, empathizing with Susato. Oh, look over there. That's another crewman keeping watch, and he looks enormous, even if he's sitting down. The door next to him leads to the second-class accommodation. I suppose he's making sure no one comes in here who shouldn't. I suppose. Like people in handcuffs. Naruhodo-san, you look like a little boy visiting a toy shop for the first time. I would have thought you'd be used to the ship by now. We've been at sea for 2 weeks already. Did you not hear what he said about how he's literally been in that room the whole time? Well, yes, I know. But the thing is, I was inside Kazuma's trunk when I first came aboard. And ever since then, I've been shut up inside that little wardrobe. It must have been a very trying time for you. Please, don't give me that pitying look. Okay, so let's examine out here. This looks like a plan of the Ss Borea. It shows each deck. Look. The Borea is a large-scale steamship with a triple-skin hull. What a marvel of engineering. Well, it's been playing on my mind for a while now, actually, but how is it that such a huge lump of metal doesn't just sink to the bottom of the ocean? Oh, that's really quite simple, Naruhodo-san. It is? Well, consider the Japanese, oh boy, archipelago? Archipelago? The islands of Japan? Yes, they're not metal, but they are enormous lumps of earth, many, many times larger than the ship. And they don't sink, do they? They've been floating happily on the sea since the gods created them. Well, I suppose so. Okay, I gotta investigate this, like, trap-looking thing here. This is very strange. Oh, a trap for catching mice. Yes, we have plenty of those back home in Japan. Although they seem to be using a lump of chalk or something as bait. Let me see. Yes, I think that's what it's called. Cheese. It's made from the milk of cows. Cheese? I wonder what that tastes like. What? I didn't realize that cheese was, like, not a thing that in Japan at this time. That, oh my gosh, those poor people. Oh, I couldn't live without cheese. A time before cheese is a time I don't want to live in. You can't eat it, Naruhodo-san. The trap will snap shut on your fingers. Really? But, oh, I suppose you're right. A risk I'd be willing to take. You weren't actually going to try it, were you? All I've had to eat for the past couple of weeks is Kazuma's leftovers. You don't know how hungry I've been in that wardrobe. Poor you. I'll find a little snack for you later. This is it. This is the cabin next to ours, the one the ventilator connects to. Yes, the ventilator from which Kazuma-sama wrote he saw a speckled band emerging. Maybe whoever's in this cabin can help solve that particular mystery. Let's ask. Oh, what's with the... They all have, like, that kind of stripe of, like, red across their faces. I'm pretty sure all of them do. I don't know if it's, like, a sunburn, but it's a very particular sunburn. Oh, excuse me. We, need to get inside this cabin. Nyet. This sailor's eyes speak volumes. They're clearly saying, keep out. That's what I wrote on the sign we put over the wardrobe doors. Although this man's version is definitely more effective. It doesn't look like he's going to let us pass. That's a problem. We're gonna have to distract him somehow. Maybe cause some sort of diversion. That's a huge book on top of the table there. And there's a pen next to it. Yes, that looks like the ship's log. Shall we have a little look through it? I'm surprised he let us look at that. He's sitting right next to it. Apparently just the door. Don't go past the doors. The writing is so neat and precise. Every detail about the voyage has been meticulously recorded. You wouldn't expect a rough and ready sailor to have such beautiful handwriting. And nothing. No reaction at all. I thought he might appreciate the compliment. I'm not sure that rough and ready is much of a compliment, Naruhodo-san, even to a sailor. Anyway, last night's log is mostly blank. Presumably, that means there was nothing to report. Excuse me, but could I ask you something? You? You little stowaway murderer. That wasn't a good start, was it? Alright, let me try instead. Good day, Mr. Sailor. I'm so sorry to trouble you, but could I perhaps ask something of you? You? You little third-class lady's maid? Well. Oh, we seem to have caught the sailor on a bad day, Susato-san. I am not sailor. My mother gave me name. I am senior crewman, Biff Stroganoff. Whew, the best thing is just to avoid eye contact, I think. Mr. Stroganoff, about this first-class cabin area. Here we are in finest part of Borea steer room for very important persons. What sort of a very important persons? Government officials, kings and queens traveling in secret, many important persons. That is why I am always guarding this place. Gosh, that's amazing. But somehow I let stupid stowaway inside. I want to pick you up and throw you into ocean, but Stroganoff is not animal. Thank you? If I may, I was wondering, is the cabin next to Mr. Asoki's currently occupied? Duh! Susato-san? Did you understand that? It sounded like duh. I think that's probably Russian for yes. Or no. Genius. It is not permitted to visit other cabins without invitation. Well, it sounds like there is somebody in the next door cabin at least. And if nobody can get in or out of here without this guy seeing it, then that really narrows down the people that it could possibly be. But I feel like it's not going to be quite as easy as just like, oh, it was the person next door who did it. Because that would be just a little bit too, I don't know, simple? Yes, it's tantalizing. Could you tell us who's traveling in the cabin next to Mr. Asogi's? His name is Mr. Grimsby Roylott. He is a very important Western gentleman. A Western gentleman? Do not think about it. He has nothing to do with murder of student boy. How can you be so sure about that? Mr. Roylott is an authentic Western gentleman. Yeah, well, so is Giselle was an authentic gentlewoman and she managed to murder someone. Such a man would have no interest in lowly student from insignificant Far East Islands. That was harsh. Could you tell us when Mr. Roylott came aboard? That is not your business. Come to think of it, even though we've been at sea for 2 weeks now, and I've been in Kazuma's cabin the entire time, I've never once heard anything from the next door cabin, or even felt like there was anyone in there. Well, presumably since this gentleman is occupying one of the first-class cabins, he must be rather important. Is that right? That is not your business. Are you on watch here all the time, Seaman Stroganoff? Duh, all time. So criminals like you cannot come in, or get out. I wonder, could you tell us anything about last night at all? That is not your business. It is sad about student boy. Were you on watch last night as well? Of course. And did you notice anything at the time? Anything unusual? Hit! Susato-san? Did you understand that? It was clearly a no. I saw nothing unusual. Nothing at all. And you didn't hear any strange noises or sense anything was wrong in some way? Always looking away. I said no. Sorry. I'm not so sure. I could have sworn that he wouldn't catch my eye for a moment there. Yeah. This is enough. I cannot say more now. Oh, It is time for me to report to Captain. You must return to cabin. Oh, he's going to be gone, so time for us to make our way inside the other cabin. Yes, all right. Bulkhead to second class area staying locked at all times. You escape when the lobster whistles on top of the mountain, or as English say, when the pigs fly. Yes, I understand. Good. Now we can investigate this area properly, shall we? Definitely. That's the way to the second class area of the ship. Is something wrong? I was thinking about making a run for it, just for a moment. Things aren't exactly going well for me. Yeah, they go a hell of a lot worse if you try to run. Where are you gonna go? I might be wrong, but I imagine the moment you reach for the handle of the door, that burly seaman would surely shoot you dead. Oh dear, I'm sorry. Perhaps I went a little too far there. No, I started it with my talk of running away. And there's no way I could run away while Kazuma's death remains a mystery anyway. Also the fact that you were on a ship and you literally have nowhere to run to, but, you know. Okay, so can we investigate the cabin now? This is it. This is the cabin next to ours, the one the ventilator connects to. Yes, the ventilator from which Kazuma-sama wrote that he saw a speckled band emerging. Maybe whoever's in this cabin can help solve that particular mystery. Let's ask. No answer. We're out of luck, it seems. There's no one in there to help us with our inquiries. Isn't Sholmes in there? How annoying. Ah, bummer, okay. Shoot, I was hoping Sholmes would be there and he would let us in, although he did say he wasn't going to let us in, so... Okay, so there's got to be something else I'm missing here. What do you think this is? It's a very pleasing shape, isn't it? Oh, I wonder if the fire alarm went off last night, but I imagine that would be logged in that book. That's the emergency alarm. It's probably best not to touch it. Oh, an alarm. And I'm sure that Susato would have heard it if there was an alarm. Like, I don't know if it would just be just for the first first class passenger side, or if it would be the whole ship. It says, press only in times of emergency. It looks as though it sets alarm bells ringing all throughout the ship. Okay, so that answers the question. It brings the vessel to a complete stop. Oh, this I have to... What are you doing, Naruhodo-san? You mustn't touch it. But this is an emergency situation. Just look at these handcuffs. You know full well that's not what the alarm is for. If you were to bring this vessel to a standstill for no good reason, you'd be in an even worse situation. Ah, I wish everything would just stop. This ship included. If you have to do something foolish, at least make it something that doesn't affect anyone else. Ah, well here we go. What was that? It came from inside the cabin. Such a high-pitched scream. It must have been a woman. Stand aside. Or maybe it's, oh, okay, nope, there he is. I'm about to break the door down. Mr. Sholmes. I shan't be stopped. When the fit is on me, I revel in kicking doors off their hinges. I was thinking maybe the high-pitched scream was Sholmes, but... Please, wait, Mr. Sholmes. The door doesn't appear to be bolted. Oh, I wonder, a high-pitched scream, a woman? Maybe it's that ballet dancer. It doesn't? Then how the deuce can I dispatch this muscular urge? What, pray, can I kick? I think we should go in. There's no time to think about stress relief. Alright, have we just walked into another murder? Oh! Who are you? A Western gentleman? This man looks Russian to me. We heard a woman scream. A woman? Don't be absurd. As you can see, there's nobody but me in this cabin. True, this old man does appear to be the only person in here. But in that case, who just screamed? Get out, all of you, now! Please excuse the intrusion, but you're Mr. Grimsby Roylott, I believe. Yes, that's me. And you are? Okay, please tell me that Sholmes, like, realized that this is the actual Russian guy that was in the newspaper. If he thinks that I am him, we literally have him in front of us, and he's just gonna be like, oh, That's not him, though. I am the one and only, the actual Herlock Sholmes. You've heard of me, no doubt. No. I am a great detective among great detectives, one who adorns the covers of popular magazines, no less. So I assure you, you may trust me completely. The man uses that magazine like a business card. A detective? I do not trust detectives. We distinctly heard a scream emanating from within these walls. But there wouldn't appear to be a lady concealing herself within the wardrobe this time. So, might I be so bold as to ask you to open that small traveling case? What? Don't be stupid. How could anyone fit in a small trunk like that? Maybe a ballet dancer who's very flexible. Although that does look like a very small suitcase. Well, it's quite fashionable these days, is it not? Traveling inside one's trunk. Don't look at me. Oh, or the snake is in there. Oh my, did you see that, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, the case just shook. Leave, now. Otherwise, I'll call the steward. So this is Kazuma's neighbor, Mr. Grimsby Roylott. Guys, come on, it's the guy, it's the Russian dude. There's no doubt about it. This strange Russian man is hiding something. I couldn't agree more. Let's see if we can find some clues before that burly sailor returns. Oh boy, hopefully we're not on, like, a timeline. Apparently not, though. He's just chilling in the cabinet. This guy is so weird and I love it. Well, the first thing, what do you think you're doing? Oh. This is my cabin. Get out! Could we just have a quick look inside your traveling case, perhaps? No. Reasonable answer. Oh, what a pity. I think we're out of luck. I think you're right. There doesn't appear to be anything more we can do. Meanwhile, Sholmes is just chilling in there and he's not getting yelled at. I agree, but there may be someone else who can help. Perhaps that great detective could get somewhere with Mr. Roylott. Do you have a moment, please, Mr. Sholmes? You need only address me as Sholmes. That's what I did, isn't it? Well, he did say Mr. Sholmes. Well, Mr. Sholmes, what were you doing in there? Why, I was resting, of course. Resting? Indeed. I was contemplating our sea voyage from the confines of the wardrobe whilst waiting. Waiting for the inevitable time. That you would need to call my great powers of detection into service. Oh, and it would seem the hour is upon us now. The time has come. Am I mistaken? Well, no, actually. You're spot on, for once. I was literally about to say for once. Observe closely. The Russian host in this cabin, Mr. Roylott, is clearly trying to hide something. And do you know what the most effective weapon to use against a Russian hiding a secret? Why, the truth, of course. Though, it should be pointed out, such methods are not exclusively for the Russians. Right. Can you imagine how the Russian will react when the secret he guards so closely is exposed? Would you like to witness it? Oh, yes, please. Well then, what you are about to see may well astound you. For I am about to apply my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. Alright, what are we doing here? Could this man be a more hackneyed portrayal of a dubious Russian, I ask you? What? From time to time, it occurs to me... Oh, are we going to be playing as Sholmes now? Is the fellow dubious on account of his Russianness, or Russian on account of his dubiousness? I really don't think either of those things should be occurring to you. Or anyone. That's right, and Mr. Sholmes. I know this man's beard and dark glasses are hard to ignore, especially on first meeting, but I once read, it is a capital mistake to theorize before you have all the evidence. It biases the judgment. I wonder, maybe the Russian, maybe the ballet dancer is disguised as this guy, and maybe that's why there was the scream? The body shape is very different, but you could easily, like, pack clothes on and put on a beard, and I don't know. I think that's a little bit too far-fetched even for this game. I must have complete silence. What are you doing? Why are you peering at my face like that? Ah, just as I thought. Yes, I have quite made up my mind now. There can be no other explanation that accommodates all the facts. Mr. Roylott, I have reached two incontrovertible conclusions. I don't think that's how you pronounce that word, but we're going with it. What do you mean? Number one, your true identity is that of a villain. Using those shears, you are about to end the existence of something most dear. But then again, based on how off he was about us, I can't trust anything this guy says. Are you not? Huh? And number two, the other conclusion I have drawn. You are, at this very moment no less, in the midst of committing a most grievous crime. Beneath that beard, your mouth quivers with nervous tension as you realize you've been discovered. Does it not? Ah. Oh, Naruhodo-san, I never imagined I would witness one of Mr. Sholmes' great deductions with my own eyes. That was a great deduction? Nothing can deceive Mr. Sholmes. In a single glance, he can deduce all there is to know about a person. What? What ineffable twaddle? Ineffable. Ineffable twaddle. Ugh. Oh, yes. I've read about it countless times in the adventures of Herlock Sholmes. And now I've experienced the astonishing impact of his great deduction firsthand. This is like a dream come true. It really is like Maya with a Steel Samurai. I can hardly believe it, but all the color is drained from Mr. Roylott's face. It looks like somehow both Mr. Sholmes' conclusions were right. How? How could you? How could I possibly know such things, you wish to say? Very well then. I shall elucidate. I shall explain how it was that I arrived at this pair of conclusions. So, do I cordially invite you upon a journey of logical discovery. Let us board the train of reasoning. Put plainly, let us work through my deductions together. Oh, what is this? Oh, this is kind of cool. Alright, topic 1. Old man's identity. So, the dubious-looking Russian, Mr. Roylott, obviously. What catches the eye in the first place is the enormous pair of shears in your hand. Now, we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You were on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard you sport. Now, moving on. The question then begged is this. Why would you desire to rid yourself of this magnificent beard, Mr. Roylott? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. Regard, if you will, this morning's newspaper. Okay, good, at least he caught on to that. In particular, the fascinating front page article. Which, it would appear, you have read also, Mr. Roylott. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. In translation, the headline reads, "It doesn't look like him, though. I think it might be the girl disguised as him." The headline reads, "Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai." As you cannot fail to observe, the subject of the article possesses an extremely copious beard. Having noted the article yourself, you decided to remove your incriminating facial hair before it gave you away. In short, your true identity is beyond doubt. I love that Sholmes can be so wrong, but he's so cool doing it that you want to believe it. He's so, like, confident. You are the fearsome Russian revolutionary himself, villain Bolshevik. Villain. I wonder if it's meant to say villain because he's a villain, or is it villain? You guys can maybe help me out with the pronunciation. Not that I've heard of you myself, you understand. Conclusion. A revolutionary on the run. Alright, topic 2. Wrongdoing. Now, as for my second conclusion. You are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime? Over there. Oh yes, Mr. Roylott. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. Oh. And I assure you, the eyes speak so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes, that traveling case. It is time, I think, that the case be opened and its contents laid bare. No, I refuse. What could you possibly be concealing inside, we ask? By my estimation. A young lady, perhaps? One slight enough to fit therein. Don't be absurd. And what, pray, would be the identity of this young lady in the traveling case? Dear me, we are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your careless coup d'oeil betrays you. Doyle? Once again, we need only follow your furtive glance. Is it oil? Oil? It's French for eye, I think. Sorry guys, my pronunciation. Awful. Yes, the reason you refuse to open your traveling case can equally be found in the pages of this newspaper. For there is another, most stimulating article. If we turn from the fleeing revolutionary to the back page. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovik Ballet disappears from Shanghai. Such a headline can lead us to but one conclusion. Your crime is that of abduction, and according to the article, the young lady's name is Nikolina Pavlova. Kidnapping of a young ballerina. And then just watch all of it be wrong. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this Russian enigma, Elemensky. Susato-san? That wasn't one of the great deductions I've been hearing so much about, was it? Well, the stories are full of Mr. Sholmes' brilliant deductions, you know. But that did seem a little different somehow. Excuse me, Mr. Sholmes, could you come over here a moment? Pray, what can I do for you? It's about your deductions. Would you mind? Not at all. Go on. Well, to start with, there's the newspaper article. I think we had the same discussion before, but these two men look nothing like each other. Yes, I recall our discussion earlier, and at the time I believe I told you that the man is a revolutionary, well able to revolutionize his own appearance. In fairness to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Roylott does look more like this man than you do. That's not the point. And another thing, the part about him abducting the ballerina. Indeed, a truly startling revelation. At first glance, the case would appear too small to accommodate a young woman. Not just at first glance, it is too small, clearly. You'd be lucky to fit a 5-year-old child into that case, even if you pushed really hard. I don't suppose the missing ballerina is a 5-year-old child, is she? You mean you don't know? No, the young lady is 15. No, I didn't know. How could I? Well, if she's 15, then 10 years' worth of her would be poking out from that case. Some years ago, I read something pertinent, I believe. A troop of men consuming vinegar daily in order to promote a certain liveliness in their body. Or lithness? Oh my god. Lithiness? Vinegar? For such a sour bunch, it would surely be simplicity itself to contort oneself into the confines of that small case. Oh dear, you might be thinking of contortionists in the circus, Mr. Sholmes. Ugh, this whole thing is turning into a circus. Mr. Naruhodo, something's occurred to me about Mr. Sholmes' deductions just now. I think his powers of observation are, well, magical. His eyes cut to the heart of the matter almost instantly. It's just where he directs his attention and his logic that seem a little off. Your idea of a little may be a little off itself, Mr. Sato. It's just one or two key words in his deduction that seem to let him down. So I was wondering if we might perhaps tactfully switch them for alternatives. What do you think? He's kind of like me. I kind of like, when I focus on something, it's hard for me to get out of that mindset. I hope my guesses aren't as completely off as his, but I see myself in him a little more than I'd like to admit. Switch some keywords in his deductions. Yes, but very tactfully. I feel sure if we could do that, we'd unlock the true genius of Mr. Sholmes' great deduction. Precisely the thought that was going through my own mind. This man is a lot of work. At times, I wonder how anyone puts up with me. It's not that funny. And you, my good fellow. Sorry? Take a moment to look at your wrists. My wrists? Oh! Oh! Where are your handcuffs? Huh? How did... I felt they may hinder your ability to follow me in our dance of deduction. I don't believe it. Mr. Sholmes, you're a marvel. And don't worry, I shall restore the shackles to your wrist once we are finished. I'm not worried. In fact, I'd rather stay like this. So, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Alright, here we go. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. So, the dubious-looking Russian, Mr. Roylott, obviously, what catches the eye in the first place is the enormous pair of shears in your hand. Now we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You were on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard you sport. I'm not sure. Would you really use shears like that to cut off a beard? I doubt that's something I'll ever have to worry about. It doesn't quite sit right with me, though. It doesn't seem to be sitting right with Mr. Roylott either. Which means, I suppose, that the deduction is wrong. Let's try to switch a key word here, Naruhodo-san, and see if it helps matters. Alright, but how? I think we should start by taking a long, hard look at Mr. Roylott. I wonder if it's really his beard he intended to use those shears on. Exactly. If we do manage to find something that seems to fit the sense of Mr. Sholmes' deduction better, then what? Now I'll leave the rest in your capable hands, Naruhodo-san. Maybe he was trying to cut up the newspaper article, but he could just use his hands to rip that up. Why am I the one to do something about this? Well, anyway, let's see if there's anything we could even use to switch around in that last sentence. What exactly was Mr. Roylott really going to use those enormous shears for? Okay, this is interesting. Alright, so let's... the coat buttons... Oh, shit! It is the ballerina! Oh my god, I can't believe I was actually right. Wow. What the? What's this? It looks like a cascade of stunning golden locks. No, the color's not the point. The point is, what's it doing on the back of Mr. Roylott's head? And how is it growing out from underneath his thick black hair? Yes, that's true. So it's stunningly beautiful and stunningly surprising. Something's definitely not right here. Okay, we are doing... I can't believe I was right. Oh, I love this. Oh, look at Ryunosuke looking so cool. Everybody looks cool when they're in this this little pose thing. You were on the verge of using the shears to cut away the golden locks you sport. Indeed. You have identified the precise detail I was intending to expose. Okay, Sholmes. Wow, can't admit he's wrong. Such lush golden hair certainly does not befit an old man. You're not a man at all. You're a woman, and judging from the length and sheen of your hair, one still very much in her youth. Oh no. If only I'd managed to cut off my hair, no one would have suspected. The question then begged is this: why would you desire to rid yourself of these magnificent locks? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. Well, that was a shock. I had no idea the old man was really a young woman in disguise, did you? What? Why are you staring at me like that? Yes, it was a surprise. Naruhodo-san. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Sorry? You look like you're in your element as you dance around the room deducing the facts with Mr. Sholmes. I'm just doing what we agreed. I'm not having fun or anything. This is strictly business. Yes, yes, I understand. Say no more. Well, anyway, let's focus on this next part of Mr. Sholmes' deduction, shall we? The evidence he's picked out doesn't fit the facts at all now. No, that's true, given that Mr. Roylott is actually a woman. Exactly. He, or rather she, can't possibly be this merciless revolutionary. I suppose it's because the deduction as a whole has taken a different direction now. Yes. Let's switch the evidence for something else. Something that fits the facts as we now understand them. For some reason, this woman needed to try to hide her true identity. I feel as though I've either read or heard about a young woman in a situation like this recently. Alright, it's pretty obvious. Okay, I'll do my best. Oh, we wanted to present a review scene? Okay, return to question. Okay, so we have this. Do I have to actually, like, examine it and then... Okay, so, oh, there we go. It present. I didn't...
Yes!
Didn't know if it was there before. There we go. The evidence that reveals your true identity is, of course, the article about the ballerina. That's right. You've hit the nail on the head. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovik Ballet disappears from Shanghai. I don't know if he actually knew this already, or if he's just, like, on the fly being like, yeah, totally knew that. It would appear we were finally able to address you by your true name. Yes, because your true identity is that of the Novovik Ballet's prima ballerina, Miss Nikolina Pavlova. Ah! Maybe she was trying to sneak away with the, whatchamacallit, the tiara. You know, start a new life, sell it. You're right. My real name is Nikolina Pavlova. But please, I beg you, don't tell anyone. Alright, that was pretty cool. I like that. Now, as for my second conclusion, you are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime, over there. So I'm guessing the snake is in there, but maybe also the tiara. Oh yes, Miss Pavlova. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. And I assure you, the eyes speak so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. Furtive. Ah. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. The traveling case. This woman is the ballerina, and she's right in front of our eyes, so clearly she can't be inside the traveling case as well. No, that's right. It seems she wasn't abducted at all. In which case, what is the crime this young woman is apparently committing? Oh, I see I'm gonna have to step in and fix the great detective's mistake again. You seem to look pleased, Naruhodo-san. Do you like the idea of another chance to dance around with Mr. Sholmes? Stop it. Anyway, there must be something else here that shows what this woman is up to. Okay, there's a wine bottle I see there. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Okay, let's... Okay, so there's the traveling case. She's drinking when she's 15. Alright. Is there any... Can we look up at all? I'm gonna guess it's... Oh, a wine. Oh. Oh, the tiara. Oh, the tiara. Okay. It's hiding. Yeah, there we are. Wow, look at this dazzling tiara. I've never seen anything like it. Are those real diamonds, do you think? Oh, Naruhodo-san, try it on. What? Me? Isn't it usually girls who wear tiaras? Wouldn't you like to try it on? Oh no, I couldn't possibly. It's far too beautiful. Why does this tiara look familiar? I feel like I've seen it somewhere recently.
Yes!
The proof of your crime is surely this tiara. Oh. I believe this tiara is worn on stage by dancers in the Novovik Ballet, is it not? Indeed. It would appear to be identical to the tiara pictured here in this newspaper article. And if the reporting is to be believed, it's an item worth 20,000 rubles. In summary, the crime you have committed is theft. Oh no. Yes, you left your ballet troupe, unlawfully taking their precious tiara with you. I have no one, no family, no friends. I'm all alone, and I need money. But I did not steal the tiara. It was a present from, how do you say, an Earl of Prussia. It belongs to me. This girl is only 15 years old, and she's run away all by herself. She must have been extremely lonely. All right, I'll tell you everything. There's no point to hiding it now. Come, let us not be hasty. What? He's like, let me do some more wrong deductions first. There remains one unsolved mystery about you. Mystery? What do you mean? You have staunchly refused to open this traveling case of yours in our presence. It's reasonable to conclude, therefore, there exists some reason why you'd wish it to remain closed. Is that not so, Miss Pavlova? My dear girl, there is no sense in playing games with me. Nothing escapes my attention. Indeed, I have a very good idea of the contents of your case, even before I've even laid eyes on them. Dear me, we are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your careless coup Doyle betrays you. Once again, we need only follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason why you refuse to open your case. Oh, okay, they're knocked over like Kazuma's. He's completely changed tack with his deduction now. I think Mr. Sholmes is adapting his logic to the changing circumstances, don't you? Or he's just bullshitting his way out of it, maybe, but why has he suddenly brought the bookshelf into all this? Just a wild guess, surely. Oh, do you think so? Well, it doesn't seem likely the reason why this young woman doesn't want to open her case would have been written in a book that doesn't even belong to her. Yes, that's true, but still, Miss Pavlova certainly did cast her eyes in that direction. I noticed it myself. And there has to be another reason why she won't open her case. And it must be somewhere in the same area, if that's where her gaze was involuntarily drawn. I agree, that's the only answer. Whatever she has hidden inside that case should be revealed by following her gaze in the direction of the bookshelf. Okay, there's the small picture. This is a charming little picture, isn't it? What is it? Someone climbing a steep mountainside? Or descending one, it seems to me. When you've been on the flat sea for a while, maybe you start seeing hills and mountains and everything. The rules of passage for travel aboard the Ss Borea. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Oh! Pets! Pets, pets, pets! It's the snake! It's the snake! Pets are also strictly forbidden. There's exactly the same notice in our cabin, too. I wonder what happens if you break the rules. I'm sure this punishment would be severe, Naruhodo-san. You'd probably be left to drip in the freezing rain. Oh, maybe she didn't even intend for Kazuma to die. Maybe she let the snake loose, it crawled through the thing and killed him, and then crawled back. And then she realized the snake had killed someone and she's trying to cover it up. Or shut inside a tiny wardrobe for days on end. So I've actually been serving time for weeks now, have I? I'm gonna go with that, yeah.
Yes!
Yes, the reason why you refuse to open your case is written in the rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. Inside that case of yours is something forbidden from carriage on this vessel. That is the real reason why you refuse to open it, thus revealing its contents. As we've seen, the trunk wobbles from time to time, but no weapon or other dangerous item would move of its own accord. Which leaves but one possibility, Miss Pavlova, inside your traveling case. They're so cool! Is the last item listed as forbidden in the vessel's rules of passage. A pet. Oh, they are so enjoying this. I love it. Oh. Yeah, you were way off, Sholmes. Elementary. He's like the Dr. Wilson now. He's like the Holmes to the Watson, or the Watson to the Holmes. So clearly you aren't who you say you were. No, I am not Grimsby Roylott. My real name is Nikolina Pavlova. Everything you said was correct. Eventually it was correct. You absconded during one of your ballet company's performances in order to escape your homeland. Later that same night, you stole aboard this vessel, which couldn't have been easy. The Borea is a huge steamship with a vast crew. Could she really have snuck on board without being noticed? In order to obscure your true identity, you somewhat recklessly took the guise of an old gentleman, and you intended to sever all links with your past by severing your long hair. Yet, to a woman, hair is no trifling matter. My personal recommendation is to leave well alone. So, if it was just you, about to cut off your own hair, who was it that let out the scream we heard from outside the cabin? That veritable tinkling of a bell? Why, none other than this young lady, naturally. More like a full set of pipes, if you ask me. I was so scared when I ran away in Shanghai. I was sure they would come looking for me. That's why I decided to, how do you say, disgust myself, so no one would recognize me. As a result, you transformed yourself into that questionable old man, I see. I put on the fur hat and fake beard. Then, just before you came in here, I saw in the newspaper, right on the page, there was a picture of me. I was so frightened, I couldn't stop from screaming. I knew if I didn't change my appearance completely, they would find me. So I decided to cut all my hair as fastly as possible, so I picked up the scissors in my hand and... At that precise moment, we walked in through the annoyingly unlocked cabin door. Things happen like that sometimes, don't they? Things do indeed happen like that, from time to time. Are those two even talking about the same thing? There's just one more thing I'd like to know. What exactly do you have inside your traveling case? You were right. It is my dear friend inside. My only friend in the whole world. I wonder if she even knows that her snake... I'm assuming that is a snake. I don't know what else it could be. I wonder if she even knows that her snake had killed somebody. Please, don't tell anyone. If the captain finds out, if you say to any of the crew... Your secret is safe with us, I assure you. But in return... You must tell us, in as much detail as you can muster, about the events of last night. Yes, all right. I will tell you. Well, Mr. Naruhodo? Wasn't it something Mr. Sholmes' great deduction? It was certainly something, yes. I'm just not entirely sure what. But at least Miss Pavlova has agreed to tell us what she knows. That's incredible. Indeed, it is incredible. Ah, and one more thing. Oh, yes? What? Observe your wrists. They're back on again. My... He's more like a magician than a detective. Oh, your hands are cuffed again. What? But how? True to my word, I restored your shackles. When and why? There's still a shadow of guilt cast over you, Mr. Naruhodo. I'm sorry to say. It can't be helped at the moment. Can it? Really? Anyway, let's listen to what Miss Pavlova has to say. I can't go on not knowing. I have to find out what the Speckled Band that Kazuma-sama wrote about in his diary really was. Alright, woo! I've been playing for quite a while. My throat is a little bit dry, but I was just really caught up in it. I didn't want to stop playing, but we will leave it off here. So, yeah, as I predicted, Kazuma unfortunately bit the dust sooner than I was expecting. Poor Ryunosuke, once again, found, assumed to be the culprit, and yeah, I'm assuming that she's going to be talking about her snake, and the snake got into Kazuma's room and potentially killed him. I doubt it's that simple. There's got to be more to it. It's way too, like, open and shut for the Ace Attorney games. So we're going to find out what happened last night, and hopefully get some more clues onto who the true killer is of Kazuma. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and stay tuned next week for part 5. Until then, bye. Special thanks to my top-tier patrons, Nana, Sparky, Derek Nickel, Harry Gazif, Asborn Kennedy, and iCognito.